After giving the shot, the nurse suddenly froze. She just injected morphine thinking it was a painkiller. The legal dose, 3 milligrams. What she gave him, 100.
I'm gonna give you an emergency shot of naloxone so you don't die in 10 minutes.
Oh, well, no pressure. You know, this is an interesting and efficient method of murder. I need to write this down. So, if someone switched the meds on purpose, I'd be dead in 10 minutes.
When Harlan realized he was about to die, he stayed surprisingly calm. But Marta, the caretaker, panicked. She reached for the antidote she always carried, naloxone, only to find it missing. Harlan comforted her instead. He knew, living in a mansion way out in the countryside, help would never make it in time. Today was simply his day to die, and he was sure someone had used Marta as a pawn to kill him.
He's not here, Harlan. I don't know why he's not here. So I'm gonna use the phone, okay? To call an ambulance.
Desperate, Marta tried to call for help, but Harlan stopped her. He told her, listen carefully, follow my plan and she'd escape suspicion. Because to him, Marta was more than a nurse. She was like family. Step 1, leave as if it were just another night. Say goodbye, make sure everyone remembers you clocked out. It was midnight. Then drive off, past the security cameras, park in the woods, and sneak back in through the side gate. But don't let anyone see you. Use the ladder against the wall to climb back up. She pulled it off barely. Back inside, she put on Harlan's robe and hat. Because every night at 12, Harlan's youngest son came down for a smoke. All Marta had to do was show a silhouette, just enough for him to think Dad was still alive after she'd left. That way, suspicion would be off her. She then slipped back outside, but just as she climbed down the ladder, she noticed someone watching through the glass. It was Harlan's mother. Luckily, she was too old to see clearly and mistook Marta for her grandson. Ransom Marta escaped into the night, but she had one fatal flaw. Every time she lied, she threw up. So Harlan told her, never lie, just tell the truth, but not the whole truth. The next morning, the housekeeper opened the door and found Harlan dead, his throat slit. Who wanted to use Marta's hand to kill Harlan? A storm was brewing. Because Harlan wasn't just any old man, he was a world-famous mystery novelist, and his death was all over the news. That's when I, the detective, received an anonymous letter with a fat paycheck. My mission, uncover the truth behind this murder. Paulus had ruled it a suicide, but I knew something was off. After the funeral, I started my investigation. We gathered everyone from that night, the night of Harlan's 85th birthday party. His whole family was there. Linda, the eldest daughter, a self-made businesswoman married to Richard, a freeloading husband living off her success. They had a son, Ransom, oiled playboy who just fought with his grandfather that night and didn't even bother to show up for the funeral. Then there was Harlan's youngest son, Walt, running the family publishing business, and his late middle son's widow, Joni, who lived off Harlan's money with her daughter Meg. But the closest person to Harlan, Marta, the nurse. He treated her like his own child. During questioning, it didn't take long for me to see this family wasn't as perfect as they looked. Every one of them was hiding something. Richard, the son-in-law, went first. He claimed he'd seen Walt arguing with Harlan that night, but Walt denied it immediately. Turns out, Walt wasn't good at running the company. He'd been losing money for years, all while trying to sell off rights for his own profit. Harlan saw right through him and decided to fire him. Walt insisted he hadn't fought with his dad and instead pointed the finger at Richard. After all, everyone saw Ransom fighting with Harlan that night. I pressed Richard further, because witnesses said they also heard him shouting in the study. Richard tried to explain it away, but the truth, Harlan had caught him cheating, and gave him two choices: confess to Linda, or he would. That led to Richard blowing up at Harlan. Then came Joni, the daughter-in-law. After her husband died, Harlan supported her every month, but that month, she got nothing. She asked why, and Harlan exposed her scheme. Not only had she been taking the monthly allowance, she'd also been tricking his secretary into giving her extra double-dipping the whole time.
You have been double-dipping Meg's tuition and stealing from me $100,000 a year for the past 4 years.
Harlan, I don't know how this mix-up happened, but
So now I am writing
I swear to
this
God.
tuition check, but you must know that this is the last money you or Meg will get from me.
Please, you don't understand.
Joni, I know it'll hurt, but it's all for the best. My mind's made up.
Under my questioning, Joni insisted it was just a misunderstanding, but to me, every one of them was lying, and that meant the truth was buried even deeper. That night, Joni heard strange noises upstairs. Linda, who's a light sleeper, heard them too, thinking something happened to Harlan. Joni went to check. Harlan told her it was nothing. He just knocked over a board game. Then he urged her to go back to bed. 10 minutes later, Linda was woken up again. This time it was Marta leaving, her footsteps creaking on the stairs. Walt, smoking by the door, confirmed it. Another 10 minutes passed. Linda heard noises once more. Now it was her father coming downstairs, and Walt saw his silhouette.
Harlan slit right through his carotid. We saw from the blood spat patterns that they were uninterrupted, meaning it's almost impossible for anyone to have been around him at the time.
Physical evidence can tell a clear story with a false turn.
Wow.
And as we can see from this morning, everyone can lie.
I'd been paid a ridiculous amount for this case, and out of both duty and principle, I swore to dig until the very end, even though I had no idea who hired me. Eventually, I tracked down Marta, the nurse, the one closest to Harlan, and I knew her secret. Every time she lies, she throws up. She only told me the routine of how she left that night. Nothing about the injection mistake. Nothing about Harlan's plan to stage the evidence. Nothing about watching him slit his own throat right in front of her. And since she didn't vomit, I chose to believe her. Later, I took Marta to check the cameras in the side path to the mansion. But when we walked in through that path, the guard dog trotted over with a piece of wood in its mouth. It was from the ladder Marta kicked off that night, but I wasn't focused on her, so she quickly tossed it aside when I wasn't looking. And that's when Ransom finally showed up, same arrogant, careless look on his face. But without him, the will couldn't be read. Every family member had to be present. The others hated him. He didn't even show up to the funeral. Now he had the audacity to claim his share of the inheritance. His father almost snapped on him right there, but Ransom didn't care at all. Then suddenly Walt's son spoke up. He said he'd been in the bathroom next to the study that night and overheard Ransom's heated argument with Grandpa. He even heard the word will. By now, everyone realized Ransom probably already knew what was in the will, and he didn't deny it. He just smirked and said he was cut out completely. Not a single penny from Grandpa. The whole room exploded in chaos. I grabbed Marta and slipped out. After all, it's not like either of us was getting Harlan's money. But then, that damn guard dog came running again. In its mouth, another wooden plank. Marta froze, terrified. I examined it closely, and that's when I found it. A hidden window on the 3rd floor, accessible from outside. Whoever killed Harlan was right here among these people, waiting downstairs for the inheritance. The lawyer began to read the will. Everyone held their breath.
I hereby direct that all my assets, both liquid and otherwise, I leave in their entirety to Marta Cabrera. My entire ownership of Blood Like Wine Publishing, I leave in its entirety to Marta Cabrera. The copyright of its catalog, likewise, I leave in its entirety to Marta Cabrera.
The whole family's faces twisted instantly, everyone except Ransom, who sat back, amused, like he was watching a show. Linda, the eldest daughter, lost it, cursing Marta, calling her a manipulative little witch. The family swarmed on her like vultures, but Marta herself was the most shocked of all. Harlan never told her about this panic. She ran to her car, her hands shaking so badly she couldn't even start the engine. At that moment, Ransom stepped in, offered her a hand. Marta had no choice but to jump into his car. He drove her to a diner. There, he told her there were only 3 things he believed. 1, his grandfather didn't kill himself. 2, Marta pukes whenever she lies. 3, she just ate the food he gave her.
Look me in the eye and tell me what happened to my grandfather.
Meanwhile, back at the mansion, the family was losing their minds. None of them could accept a stranger taking everything. Then someone brought up the Slayer rule. If the heir killed the one leaving the inheritance, the will becomes void. The fortune would go back to the family. So now, all they had to do was prove Marta killed Harlan. Suddenly, the detective they all hated, me, was their only hope. And across town, under Ransom's pressure, Marta finally confessed the whole truth. When Ransom heard how Grandpa tried to protect her, he decided to protect her too.
Let me help you go all the way.
What's going on? This isn't you. You could just remain right now and still get your cut of the inheritance. Why?
Because fuck my family. I can help you get away with this. And then, you're gonna give me my cut of the inheritance. Happy ending. Everybody wins. You, me, Harlan.
Martha, get your ass up. What the hell is happening? There's a guy here and a bunch of stuff. Everything's going crazy. Are we rich?
The news started to blow up. Reporters swarmed Marta's house, blocking every exit. And then, something worse. She got a letter. Inside was Harlan's blood test report. With a note, "I knew it was you." Marta panicked. She knew the police must have found the morphine overdose. There was no way out. Desperate, she turned to Ransom. He told her the only solution, destroy the original report. But when they reached the coroner's office, the place had already burned to the ground. Just then, another anonymous message arrived. A meeting 10 p.m. sharp. They were about to leave. When I showed up with the cops, Marta froze, thinking her crime was exposed. But no, I only had the police arrest Ransom.
I spoke to Edi Patterson, great Nana. Out of the party, she saw someone climbing the trellis to the 3rd floor.
Marta knew the truth, though. The old woman mistook her for Ransom. Now Marta was more alone than ever. She followed the note's instructions and went to the meeting spot. But what she found was horrifying. The housekeeper, Fran, tied up, injected with a deadly dose of morphine. Her last moments, she stared right at Marta.
You did this.
Marta understood. Fran knew she was the killer. If Marta just walked away, Fran would die, and the secret would die with her. But Marta couldn't. She dialed 911 without hesitation now. With 2 lives dragged into this mess, the guilt crushed her. She decided to confess everything. She came straight to me, took me back to the mansion, showed me a hidden backup copy of Harlan's blood test, ready to tell the whole family the truth. But I stopped her, and I turned my anger on the family instead.
You have not been good to her. You have all treated her like shit to steal back a fortune that you lost and she deserves. You're a pack of vultures at the feast. Knives out, beaks bloody. Well, you're not getting bailed out. Not this time.
All this time, I'd sworn Harlan's death was murder. But right here, I flipped, choosing to protect Marta even. The cops had no clue what I was really after. And when Marta admitted with her own mouth that she overdosed Harlan with morphine, I still refused to believe it was that simple, because deep down, I knew there had to be a mastermind pulling the strings. All my evidence now pointed to one man, Harlan's grandson, Ransom. And I suspected he was the one who hired me in the first place. That night, Ransom already knew what was in the will. He couldn't accept it, so he fought with Harlan and never really left. Instead, he climbed the ladder back to the 3rd floor, swapped the labels on the morphine and the painkillers, and stole the antidote. That way, when Marta gave the shot, it would look like she killed Harlan, and under the Slayer rule, she'd lose everything, and the inheritance would fall back to the family. But here's the twist. When I checked Marta's medical notes and the bottles, he realized she gave the correct medication. She knew the weight, the viscosity, the feel of each drug by hand. She chose the right one, even though the labels were swapped. Harlan wasn't poisoned. He really did die by suicide. And that night, when Marta climbed down the ladder, Harlan's mother mistook her for Ransom because she had seen Ransom pass that way before. Ransom tried to deny everything, but I kept going. The next day, when he learned Grandpa slit his own throat and didn't overdose on morphine, he knew his plan had failed. Marta would still inherit everything. So why hire me simple? He wanted me to dig up the so-called injection accident. He skipped the funeral because with the house empty, he could sneak back and swap out the medicine bottles. But Fran, the housekeeper, caught him. Loyal to Harlan, she got hold of the blood test report and sent it to Ransom, telling him his plan was finished. Ransom flipped it. He ripped out the key results, mailed the incomplete report to Marta, hoping to scare her into confessing. The full report would have cleared her name. So to erase it forever, he burned down the coroner's office. Then he lured Marta to Fran with that anonymous email. Injected Fran with morphine, using a syringe covered in Marta's prints. Perfect frame job, but Ransom underestimated one thing, Marta's kindness. She called 911 and saved Fran's life. And Fran still had a backup copy of the report.
She said,
You did this.
she didn't say, you did this. She wasn't talking about me. She said,
You did this.
you did this. 'Cause you made the help call you Hugh. 'Cause you're an asshole.
I looked him dead in the eye and said, Fran survived. Once she wakes up, the truth will come out. And right then, Marta got a call from the hospital, confirming everything I had just laid out was real. In the end, Ransom was arrested for murder. Marta inherited everything. But the truth is, this was all part of Harlan's plan. He saw the greed in his family long ago, and he wanted Marta, the one person he could truly trust to inherit his fortune. Even his suicide was a piece of that puzzle, so that when the truth finally came out, the family would have no choice but to accept it, and Marta would step into her inheritance without guilt. From the very beginning, I knew Marta was connected to Harlan's death. Her shoes carried a spot of blood, but I didn't call her out, because as the investigation unfolded, I realized it wasn't a crime of guilt. It was Harlan's final gift. Ransom tried to twist the will, swap the bottles, steal the antidote, and frame Marta for murder, but her instinct saved Harlan from overdose, and his choice to end his own life was his way of protecting her. Ransom's schemes failed again. The hidden bottle, Fran's attack, the forged evidence. Every move he made only led back to him. And Marta, her honesty, her inability to lie without consequence, became the very thing that proved her innocence and brought Ransom down. In the final scene, Marta stands on the balcony of Thrombey Manor, Harlan's coffee mug in her hand. My house, my rules, my coffee. Below, the disinherited family gathers, forced to watch her take her rightful place. A story of greed defeated by kindness, and Harlan's faith in Marta echoing long after his death.
I'd like to fix some of this before I go. Close the book with a flourish. I guess we'll see.
I guess we will.